It is 3 in the morning. Your eyes open, the room is dark, the house is silent, and you are wide awake, not groggy, not confused, awake, completely frustratingly awake, as if someone flipped a switch inside your brain. You look at the ceiling, you check the clock. 3:12. Again. It was 3:08 yesterday, and 2:57 the day before that. Always the same hour, always the same sudden clarity in the middle of the night. If you are over 60 and this is happening to you, I want you to know 2 things. First, you are not alone. This is one of the most common sleep complaints after 60. Millions of people experience it. And second, there is a reason it happens at this specific hour. It is not random. It is not anxiety, although anxiety can make it worse. It is not because you went to bed too early. Something very specific is happening inside your brain between 2 and 4 in the morning. And once you understand what it is, the experience changes. It becomes less frightening. And you can actually do something about it. Let me take you inside your sleeping brain and show you what is going on. To understand what wakes you at 3 in the morning, you first need to understand how your brain sleeps. Because sleep is not one thing. It is a series of cycles, and each cycle has a very different job. When you first fall asleep, your brain enters what scientists call non-REM sleep. This happens in stages. Stage 1 is light, a transition between waking and sleeping that lasts only a few minutes. Stage 2 is deeper, your heart rate slows, your body temperature drops, and your brain begins producing specific patterns called sleep spindles. These spindles are thought to help consolidate memories. Then comes the deepest stage, stage 3, also called slow-wave sleep. This is where the real magic happens. During slow-wave sleep, your brain cells actually shrink by about 60%. This is not damage, this is deliberate. Your brain is creating space between its cells so that a cleaning system called the glymphatic system can flush out metabolic waste. One of the substances being cleared is beta amyloid, a protein linked to Alzheimer's disease. Your brain is literally washing itself, and it can only do this properly during deep sleep. After slow-wave sleep, your brain shifts into REM sleep, the stage associated with vivid dreaming. Your eyes move rapidly behind your eyelids. Your brain becomes almost as active as when you are awake. But your muscles are temporarily paralyzed, preventing you from acting out your dreams. One complete cycle, from light sleep through deep sleep to REM, takes roughly 90 minutes. In a full night, you go through 4 to 6 of these cycles. But here is the critical detail. The composition of each cycle changes as the night progresses. In the first half of the night, your sleep cycles are dominated by deep, slow-wave sleep. This is when your brain does most of its cleaning, most of its physical repair signaling, and most of its memory consolidation. The first 2 cycles of the night contain the longest stretches of slow-wave sleep you will get. But after roughly 3 to 4 hours, something shifts. Your brain has completed the majority of its deep sleep work. The second half of the night becomes dominated by REM sleep and lighter non-REM stages. Your sleep becomes inherently more fragile. And this is exactly when 3 in the morning falls, right at the transition point between the deep sleep-heavy first half and the lighter second half of the night. But the timing alone does not explain why you wake up completely. Other things are happening simultaneously. Your core body temperature, which dropped when you fell asleep, reaches its lowest point between 2 and 4 in the morning. This thermal minimum triggers physiological adjustments. Your body begins to gradually warm up for the coming day. Blood flow patterns shift. Heart rate variability changes. At the same time, your cortisol levels begin to rise. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone, but that is misleading. Its morning rise is normal and necessary. It is your body's way of preparing you to wake up. This pre-dawn cortisol surge is called the cortisol awakening response, and it typically begins around 3 to 4 in the morning. When you were younger, your brain managed this transition smoothly. The shift from deep to light sleep, the temperature change, the cortisol rise, they all happened without waking you. But after 60, the systems that keep you asleep during these transitions become less efficient. Here is what changes in your brain's sleep architecture after 60. And I want to be precise about this, because understanding it removes a tremendous amount of unnecessary worry. First, the amount of deep, slow-wave sleep you produce decreases significantly. Studies show that by age 60, many people have lost 50 to 70% of the deep sleep they had at age 25. This is not insomnia. This is a normal, age-related change in brain function. The neurons that generate slow waves, particularly in the prefrontal cortex, gradually become less active. This means your brain's ability to maintain uninterrupted sleep during the lighter phases is reduced. The buffer that used to keep you unconscious through minor disturbances, a partner moving, a noise outside, a temperature change, that buffer has thinned. Second, your circadian rhythm shifts earlier. The internal clock that governs your sleep-wake cycle, located in a tiny cluster of cells called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, becomes less precise with age. It starts sending wake signals earlier. This is why many people over 60 feel sleepy at 8 or 9 in the evening and then find themselves wide awake before dawn. Third, and this is something rarely discussed, your bladder plays a role. After 60, the kidneys produce more urine at night due to changes in anti-diuretic hormone levels. The need to urinate often coincides perfectly with that 3 in the morning transition, creating a double trigger, one neurological and one physical, that pulls you out of sleep. And here is the cruel part. Once you are awake at 3 in the morning, your brain's reduced ability to generate deep sleep makes it harder to fall back asleep. You are stuck in the lighter stages, drifting in and out, watching the minutes crawl by. So, what can you actually do about this? Let me give you 5 approaches that work with your brain's natural rhythms instead of fighting against them. First, manage your light exposure. This is the single most powerful tool you have. Your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the master clock I mentioned, is calibrated by light. Get bright light exposure within the first hour of waking up, ideally natural sunlight, even on cloudy days. This resets your circadian rhythm and pushes your sleep window later, reducing the chance of that early morning awakening. In the evening, dim the lights at least 2 hours before bed. Avoid screens, or at minimum, use blue light filters. Your brain interprets blue light as daylight and delays melatonin production. Second, adjust your sleep window. If you are consistently waking at 3 and cannot fall back asleep, you may be going to bed too early. Try pushing your bedtime 30 minutes later for a week. This compresses your sleep slightly, but increases what scientists call sleep pressure, the biological drive to stay asleep. Many people find this single change eliminates the 3 in the morning awakening. Third, keep your bedroom cool. Remember that thermal minimum I described. Your body needs to cool down to sleep deeply and warm up gradually to wake naturally. A room temperature between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit or 15 to 19 Celsius supports this process. If your room is too warm, your body reaches its thermal minimum too quickly and the warming phase begins prematurely, triggering wakefulness. Fourth, manage the cortisol connection. If you are under chronic stress, your cortisol levels may already be elevated when you go to bed, making that pre-dawn surge even more disruptive. A 5-minute breathing practice before sleep, specifically exhale-dominant breathing, where your exhale is twice as long as your inhale, can measurably lower evening cortisol. Fifth, if the bladder is part of the problem, reduce fluid intake 2 hours before bed and avoid caffeine and alcohol after mid-afternoon. Both are diuretics that increase nighttime urine production. Here is what I want you to take away from today. Waking up at 3 in the morning is not a sign that something is broken. It is a sign that your brain is doing exactly what an aging brain does. The transition between the deep sleep phase and the lighter REM dominant phase becomes more noticeable because the mechanisms that used to keep you asleep through it have softened. You are not going crazy. You are not developing insomnia, and you are not alone. Research suggests that over 40% of adults over 60 experience regular nighttime awakenings. And the 3 to 4 in the morning window is by far the most common. What matters is not whether you wake up. It is what you do when it happens. If you can, stay in bed. Keep the lights off. Resist the urge to check your phone. Let your body drift back into whatever sleep stage it can find. Even light sleep is restorative. And if sleep does not return within 20 minutes, get up, do something quiet in dim light, and return to bed when drowsiness comes. Fighting it only raises your cortisol and makes it worse. Your brain has been working all night. By 3 in the morning, it has already completed the most critical deep sleep of the night. The cleaning has been done. The memories have been filed. What remains is lighter but still valuable. In my next video, I am going to show you 5 chair exercises that protect your knees. Simple movements you can do every day, and your joints will feel the difference within a week. Subscribe so you do not miss it. I release a new inside story every Monday and Thursday. Your body is changing. Let us understand it together. Rest well tonight. I will see you in the next one.